All right, how's everyone doing today? My name is Starseed Bey, and this is the start of my A.S.B. Tuesday subjects. And today's subject, which is going to spawn many episodes probably, is going to be the Testament of Solomon. We're going to really kind of dig deep into it and look at all of the different ways in how spirits work. We really misinterpret a lot of our lives itself. I mean, our lives are ran by thoughts and being empathic, different viewpoints on everything. But everything derives around thoughts. Are they your thoughts? Are they someone else's thoughts? Why do people have addictions? Or thrive with desires or lustful things, greed and money and, just different things, anxiety, looking at all these subjects, realizing that the majority of what we go through isn't really us to begin with. And I really feel, based on personal experiences, that holds up true. I mean, I get thoughts that aren't mine. That can be somebody else's. And that person who's sending that empathic frequency to me or others, that may not be theirs as well. So there can be something else in that nature as well. So hopefully I won't confuse you guys during this, but it should be fun. As well as I'll kind of teach you guys on how to do research too. I was trying to get on here yesterday, on Monday, but it didn't work out. So I was able to write some stuff down the past couple days, and we'll go from there. But I'll just start off from the beginning. So basically, the first demon, or the Shedim, I'll call them Shedim through this. You call them Shedim. You can also call them the Onis or yokai. Yokai. That's actually an anime too. But yeah, they're called yokais. They're called omens or onis. So yeah, so it's quite interesting. You really got to do a lot of research on that. So anyways, so blessed art thou, O God, who dost thou give Solomon such authority, glory to thee, and might unto the ages. Amen. Basically giving glory to Solomon, which I don't think is that awesome, but hey. And behold, when the temple of the city of Jerusalem was being built, and the Arda something were working thereout, Arnas, and it's hard to say these pronunciations, so just bear with me and do research. So Arnius the demon came among them towards sunset, and he took away half of the pay. Basically, they're working. And they mention little boy or boys or men, I don't know, as well as half his food. He also continued to suck the thumb of his right hand every day, and the child grew thin, although he was very much loved by the king. And there's a lot of interpretations from this, so this is why I've been writing stuff down. So basically, the first Shedim, Artemis, translates to the pesky spirits. So the pesky spirits. And if you look into the term of sucking the thumb, means that spirit is sucking the energy out of you. It's basically just draining you. And that's kind of how, you got to think of back in the day. How did people interpret things, right? How do people interpret things? Oh, sucking on your thumb or something like that is a form of whatever. Anyways, I'll just stick with my notes here. So the power to drain energy. This pesky demon or Shedim has a power to drain your energy from the host, which can mean the workplace and money. Because a lot of us who go into the workplace, we feel drained, we feel tired when we're in that workplace. And what is our main focus? Is money. It's not only to earn, to get food on the table and things like that, but money can drain us in general. We worry about bills, we worry about many different things like that. So that is a spirit that we are all, in some way, shape, or form, we're communicating with the spirit unaware of it. So this pesky spirit is with us at all times. It also is connected to, because King Solomon asked this Shedim some questions. And he says, he called the boy one day and questioned him, saying, "Do I not love thee more than all the artisans who are working in the temple of God? Do I not give thee double wages and double supply of food? How is it that day by day and hour by hour thou growest thinner?" So basically just wondering why a hard worker is eating good and everything, but, his spirit is being drained, if you want to look at it that way. So the child said to the king, "Oh, pray thee, O king, listen to what has befallen on that child. After we are all released from our work at the temple after sunset, when I lay down to rest, one of the evil demons, Shedim, comes and takes away from me 1/2 of my pay and 1/2 of my food. Then he also takes hold of my right hand and, drains the energy. My soul is oppressed, and so my body waxes thinner every day." Now when Solomon heard this, I entered the temple of God and prayed with all my soul night and day, and the Shedim might be delivered into my hands, and that I might gain authority over him. And came about through my prayer that grace was given to me from the Lord Sabaoth by Michael his archangel. Which I'll talk about Sabaoth later, because it kind of digs deeper into some different things. So basically, Michael the archangel brings King Solomon the ring that gives him the power to control the Shedims, which are demons, yokai, the Onis. And I, Solomon, was overjoyed and praised and glorified the God of heaven and earth. And on the morrow I called the boy and gave him the ring and said to him, "Take this, and at the hour in which the Shedim shall come unto thee, throw this ring at the chest of the Shedim, and say to him, In the name of God, King Solomon calls thee hither. Then thou shalt come running to me without having any misgivings or fear in respect of aught thou mightest hear on the part of the Shedim." So the child took the ring and went off, and behold, at the foot of Ornamus, man, these words are hard to say, the fierce Shedim, the pesky one, came like a burning fire to take the pay from the child, take his energy. But the child, according to the instructions received from the king, threw the ring at the chest of the demon and said, "King Solomon calls upon thee." Let's see here. And then he went off at a run to the king, but the Shedim cried out aloud, saying, "Child, why hast thou done this to me? Take the ring off me. I will render to thee the gold of the earth." See, the pesky one trying to make a wager with you. And we all unwaringly at times we make contracts with these spirits unknowingly, and that's really what this talks about. "Only to take this off of me and forbade." Hold down here. They went off to run, but the demon cried out, saying, "Child, why hast thou done this to me? Take the ring off me, and I will render you the gold. Only to take this off me and forbear to lead me away to Solomon." But the child said to the Shedim, "As the Lord God of Israel liveth, I will not broke thee, so come hither." And blah, blah, blah. Alright, so the boy says, "I have brought the Shedim, O king, as thou dost command me, my master, and behold, he stands before the gates of the court of the palace, crying out in supplicated with a loud voice, Offer me the silver and gold of the earth, if I will only bring him unto thee." And when Solomon heard this, he rose up from his throne and went outside to the festivals of the court of his palace. And there he saw the Shedim, shuddering and trembling. And he said to him, "Who art thou?" And the Shedim answered, "I am called Ornius, the pesky one." And Solomon said to him, "Tell me, O Shedim, to what zodiac sign are you represented by? So I do some research on this because it says the water pourer, which ends up being Aquarius. So the Aquarius sign is what I got from that, because it's really really vague in how they pronounce all this stuff. It says to the water pourer, what's the constellation of Aquarius, I guess. I'd have to look into that more, but that's what I got from my research. And those who are consumed with desire for the nobles of the virgins upon earth. And basically what I got written down there is that he hates those that desire virgins. And basically that means he hates the pesky demon, or the pesky Shedim, hates the innocents. Okay, that's a lot of times when you read the word virgin, it doesn't mean in a sexual sense. It means that they prey on the innocents. They hate those that desire the innocence, right? So they want you to be, this pesky one wants you to fall into the spell of the spirit. They want you to be violated and open to the spirit realm. Because if you're a virgin and you're innocent, you're not easily opened. So it's quite interesting right there. I found that rather interesting. Also, I'll go ahead and read my notes here. He also comes in 3 forms: a creature with wings and an appearance of a lion, a female that drains a person's energy through sexual acts, which can be both physically, it could also be in your dreams. And we've all had those kind of dreams, which is where the succubus and the other one, I don't remember offhand. So they play hand in hand. And the interesting thing is because Solomon asked, what offspring does the spirit dwell from? What star? And this is where the stars come in. And I really did a lot of research last half of last year on stars and how they are really spirits. And this is where it led me to the Testament of Solomon. And you really learn that when you look into the stars in the sky, we're always taught that they're just these gas balls in the sky, right? But what about the really spirits, or the fallen ones, or the fallen angels that are talked about in Enoch? I'm going to be ordering the book of Enoch here soon, and it's more of a Hebrew translation of it, so it should be awesome, and that's probably what I'll end up talking about next after the King of Solomon. So it should be cool. So yeah. So anyways, yeah. So this pesky spirit is the offspring of Archangel Uriel. So it's rather interesting on how we're taught about these archangels, just like Archangel Michael. And why these angels would send down these kind of spirits, to test us, because we're always tested. If you go into the old school ways of being in a church and learning about God and everything like that, we're always tested by God, right? We always use the word we're tested by God. But what about if we're really tested by the spirits themselves? What about if these perceived angels, or the seraphim and the cherubims, are the ones that are really testing us? We all work for, we all serve under the universe, right? We're all under one universe, or multi-layered universes, but I won't get into that. But we're all in a big mass, right? We're in a big mass. It's not just the earth. We got a universe as well. And there has to be some kind of a law in there, right? I always call it the universal mother. We're told it's the father, but I always view it as the father is the creation, but the mother is the one that birthed creation. So that's something I'll talk about later. I've talked about it in my older videos, but yeah. So anyways, I'll get off topic here. There's so much to talk about. So yeah, this pesky demon is an offspring of Archangel Uriel. And this demon is also commanded by all the other demons. So it's quite interesting. So yeah, so that's pretty much the story of the pesky Shedim. So Solomon tells the demon, after he gets the knowledge of what the spirit does to people, having heard the name, I, Solomon, having heard the name Archangel, prayed and glorified God, the Lord of heaven and earth, and sealed the Shedim, and set him to work a stone cutting, so that he might cut the stones of the temple, which are lying along the shore, blah, blah, blah. But he, fearful of the iron, continued to say to me, I pray thee, King Solomon, let me go free, and I will bring you all the Shedim. And as he was not willing to be subject to me, I prayed to Archangel Uriel to come and secure me. And basically, Uriel had to come down and tell the Shedim, the pesky spirit, to listen to King Solomon, because that spirit was connected to that Archangel Uriel, which is interesting. And this is where it brings into the whole we are connected in some way, shape, or form. I can be one person, but I can be connected to 1,000 people on this earth, and we're all sharing different experiences, but our energy source is one connection that's feeding another energy source. And I also, and this is another interesting thing that I learned throughout my journey since I woke up in 2010, is that we need to wrap ourselves around a star. Meaning getting to know the spirits that dwell above us. And I'm still doing research on that. I mean, I found that out in 2010. I'm still doing research. It's 2018 now, so that's a lot of research. But you really have to make sure, what you're doing, because a lot of us, like I said, are unawareingly selling our energy source, not just our soul, but it's our energy source. It's draining us to all these spirits that we're just not aware of. We're just not aware of. So we really have to look at these many different subjects. Does it mean when we connect to the stars that we just become aware of how the universe works and how the matrix works? I don't know. That's something that we'll probably just dig deep into as we go farther in. Because this is the first time I'm actually reading it. I just heard a audio version of it on YouTube, so we shall see where we go. Alright, so pretty much Uriel tells the pesky spirit to work for Solomon, and we get into the second one. Alright, so, and the angel of the sea came out of the abyss. Oh yeah, and this was another interesting thing too. This talks about the sea, water, the mass. I was actually I was watching a Truth Seeker podcast, and this came up. I don't know entirely what it was. It was about flat Earth and all that, and how can we leave the Earth? Can we not leave the Earth? Things like that, right? So if you do a lot of research, you learn a lot about the ocean, and a lot of not only did our ancient ancestors talk a lot about the ocean and the hollow earth and the underworld. They talked a lot about the underworld, but it got thrown out of proportion in the Western society because they labeled the underworld as a hell. But it's just another place on the earth that is just undiscovered. But people learn about it day by day. So anyways, with the ocean, there's a huge storyline on this ocean thing. Is a lot of a craft coming in and out of the ocean. I mean, you even do testimonies on people. Look up people's testimonies about all these crafts coming in and out of the ocean, as well as coming in and out of underground. These holes underground. Antarctica is a perfect example of all of these weird phenomenons of these crafts coming in and out of the ground. and out of the ocean. Constantly. It's uncanny. There was actually something I watched in early 2000. It was before we had Ancient Aliens. But man, I forget what it was called. But anyways, yeah, they were just talking constantly about the ocean. So this also talks about the sea. So and the angel came out of the sea of the abyss, and he cast his destiny upon the ground, and that destiny made subject to him the great Shedim, and he commanded the great Shedim, which is talking about Ornamus still, to cut the stone and work for Solomon. So the pesky spirit took the finger ring and went off to Beelzebul, or Beelzebub. There's many different things with that name. Who has kingship over the Shedim, or the yokai. He said to him, Hither Solomon calls thee but Beelzebul. Having heard, said to him, Tell him, who is this Solomon of whom thou speakest to me? Then the pesky spirit threw the ring at the chest of Beelzebul, saying, Solomon the king calls thee. But Beelzebul cried aloud with a mighty voice, and shouted out a great burning flame of fire, and he arose. He shouted in a burning flame of fire, and followed the pesky Shedim, and came to Solomon. And when I saw the prince of Shedim, I glorified God. I'm not going to say Lord yet, because this is where the word Lord comes in. You got to do research, guys. You got to do research. And when I saw the prince of Shedim, I glorified God, Solomon did, maker of heaven and earth, and said, Blessed art thou, God Almighty, who hast given to Solomon thy servant wisdom to usher the wise, and hast subjected unto me all the power of the devil. And I questioned him and said, Who art thou? The Shedim replied, I am Beelzebub, the king of the Shedim. So I'm going to go ahead and read my notes here and just make it a lot easier, because, man, it's crazy. All right, so if you do research on Beelzebub, or Bel itself translates into Lord. It translates to Lord. So whenever you read the word Lord, okay, Lord is a translation of authority as well as Bel. Okay, so every time you say Lord, you're saying Bel. And this is where you got to do research and realize that if you want to read the Bible, you want to get your hands on a Hebrew one. Translated into English, but using Hebrew words, because this is where you really get trapped. I found a Bible called the Heleluyan Scriptures, and it really gives you kind of the basic starting lines on reading Hebrew. They give you a nice little translation and things like that. So it lets you see beyond the Western of what we were taught. We were taught the Bible through Western eyes, as well as it was made by King James and things like that. It was made over in England, and if you do research on England, you kind of get the idea of what kind of influence the Western Bible has. So again, do research, definitely. So Beelzebub, the Lord of the Flies, the Prince of the Shedim. He commands and manifests apparitions of each Shedim. So basically, he rules over all the spirits. No matter what kind it may be. And this throws me off track. The only thing that really throws me off track with this story about the prince of the Shedims is, if he is the prince, right? If he is the prince of all these spirits and apparitions, or maybe he is just the one that allows these spirits to manifest themselves, right? Allows these spirits to manifest themselves. So maybe Beelzebub gives these spirits energy, right? Gives these spirits energy. Because again, you cannot deny the fact that there's spirits that walk among us. It's not just an imaginary standpoint. We have a lot of testimonies and proof, that there's a lot of supernatural phenomena that go on. People throwing chairs, these spirits throwing chairs, moving objects, possessing people. Possession is not. It's not no joke. It's not no imagination. That's the real jet. That's the real stuff, man. It's the real stuff. So maybe that's Beelzebub's whole purpose is to make sure that these spirits can manifest themselves. So maybe that's the energy. Because if you really do research on everything, make sure it wasn't. Let me read some comments here. Let's see. So we got Matt here. He's saying, what book is this again? This is the Testament of Solomon. You can look that up. I can actually, here, let me post a link here real quick. And you can read the one I'm reading here. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean, that this is real. There's definitely documentation on this. I mean, Solomon's in the Bible, and it talks about this. And, a lot of people feel, just like with the Book of Enoch, that, this stuff should have been included, but it wasn't because of the nature behind it, right? Because some of this stuff kind of contradicts some of the stuff in the Bible. So you just have to do your research. It's deep, man. It's deep stuff. So anyways, so with this Beelzebub, this really allows you to learn, that everything is energy, everything is connected, everything is synergy. We're not just this physical form, right? There's something a lot more going on than just what we're experiencing. Like I said, your thoughts, your emotions, everything, it runs our life. Our personas that we generate for ourselves run our life. The faces that we put on run our life. These are sources that can and cannot be controlled at times. We can control them, but when you're not aware of it, we can't control them because we don't know what the source of it. And this is where it really digs deep into those sources. So that's pretty much the story of Beelzebub. And you really, really look deep into Bel and Beelzebub, because you're going to learn a lot more about that character and how that energy itself really runs a lot of it, as well as you always got I'm trying to remember her name, Lilith. Yes, look into Lilith, as well as the Jezebel spirit as well. They got a huge impact on humanity, or in this matrix structure anyways. So let's get back here. I then asked of the Shedim if there were females among them, right? So, and he promised to bring to me in bonds. Okay, so Solomon, after he talked to Beelzebub, Solomon asked him, and as he promised to bring to me in bonds all the unclean spirits, and I again glorified God. Solomon wanted more spirits. He wants to know on how the spirit realm works. That's the whole thing about this whole Testament of Solomon, is he wants to know why, just because of that boy, he wants to know why these spirits have such control over people. He wants to know why his workers are being controlled by these spirits. Where are they coming from? What is the source? What is the whole foundational structure of this? And this is what I'm all about, is looking within, discovering, what is taking people away from discovering Christ? What is taking people away from looking within? Why are people so afraid? Why are people so driven by their own emotions? That's why this Testament of Solomon really spoke out to me. So that's why we're looking into it. All right, so he asked the Shedim if there were any females among them. which is quite interesting. So the ones that we heard before were male ones, so this is a female spirit. And this one really catches my eye. This is pretty much the last one I did research on, and then everything's kind of new to me after this. So, and when he told me that there was, I said that I desired to see them. So Beelzebub went off at high speed and brought unto me, this is a hard word to say too, Oniscelius, which basically is a translation of a female. Okay, so literally, this spirit's name is a female spirit. Okay, just the female spirit alone. That's what I gather from this. This female spirit took on a pretty shape, and the skin was fair, and she tossed her head. And when she came, I said to her, "Tell me, who art thou?" But she said to me, "I am called the female, a spirit wrought." The connection, this is where I was doing research before I started this video. The connection, it says it lurks upon the earth, right? Lurking upon the earth, and it talks about the moon. So let me finish reading this, and I'll get back into that. So she's a spirit that just kind of floats. Lurking upon the earth, she dwells in golden caves, places like on cliffs, on edges. She creeps into people. The only thing I really got from that translation is like worms. Basically she just kind of infests your mind, infests your body. But most frequently dwelling places are the caves, ravines, things like that. So when they talk about caves, again, you have to think about the olden times. Okay, so when you look at dwelling places, right? Caves, ravines, talks about the golden cave itself. It's the mind. It's the mind. It's the dream state. It's the seductive and lustful urges that many focus upon, right? Focus upon if you're a male, you'll focus on the female in that aspect. And this is where daydreaming and lustful acts come in. We go into that cave, and because we are creating the imagination of, hey, this woman looks attractive, we create this golden cave for ourselves, this manifestation of, hey, this is what I would like to happen, things like that, diving into those streams of consciousness, and on how we can be so manipulated by the mind state just from that alone, from that lustful urge. And this is where the spirit comes in. And we've all had this spirit before, especially through our teenage years, right? We see a pretty girl, hey, look at that pretty girl, right? So we begin to get that dream state, and then we also have dreams and things like that. So it really, again, makes you realize that we are under the influence of these spirits. We're under the influence of these spirits, or these Shedims, these yokai. They're everywhere. They're everywhere, man, and they feed off our energy. It's if we had a full cup, right? If we had a full cup of water or something like that, and we didn't drink it, but when we woke up, wouldn't it be very fascinating to learn that we never drank the cup that we felt full, but when we woke up, we were only half full, right? We were only half full. And a lot of us, we experience this. We wake up, maybe you had 6 hours of sleep, maybe that's all you need. Maybe you had 10 hours of sleep, right? And you wake up and you feel drained. You're going, man, why do I feel so drained? That's because it's the spirits. The spirits are overtaking and taking our energy, taking our energy from our dreams, from our thoughts, as well as the connection. Just like I said, I may be one person, I could be connected to 1,000 people. So the 1,000 people, say there's 15 people that are possessed a lot more with these spirits, and they make contracts with them. So it's affecting the streamline that I'm connected to. So it's making me tired as well. Except for that we're all connected. It's bizarre, man. It's bizarre. And that's why we're looking into this, because we are so influenced by these spirits, by these Shedims in our lives daily. In our lives daily. So yeah, so that's pretty much the gist of what this Shedim, this female, told Solomon. And here's the interesting thing, and it took me quite a bit of research on this just to discover what they were talking about. But most frequently, dwelling places, blah blah blah. This spirit, the Shedim, shares the same star. So before that, I also want to mention this too, is that this female loves, they say dark skin, but if you do research, it's melanin. It's your melanin. You know, if you ever heard the word melanin rich people, right? So, and then, you know, definitely they are dark skinned. It's hard to explain. If you do a lot of research, you realize that my skin tone here, this isn't natural. This whole complexion here is not a natural way. A lot of our ancient ancestors were dark skinned. They were dark skinned. They were even blue skinned at one time. It's quite interesting. So that's the melanin rich, and this is why that female spirit likes that, because it's more energy. You know, the more melanin you have in your body, the more energy you release from your body. So it's rather interesting. But yeah, you have to do research on our skin color, skin complexion, because this isn't natural. We were never meant to look like this. This is part of genetic manipulation. That's something you got to look to as well. So much to talk about, guys. So anyways, but yeah, so the other interesting thing I found with this was after that, she says that they share my star. Okay, so these melanin rich people share my star. Since because of this, they're openly worshiping my star. And I still have to do research on this, because this really doesn't make any sense, because if these melanin rich people are worshiping the spirit, right? They're worshiping the star, and they're not aware that they're harming themselves. There's a lot more to it. The only thing I found that might be close to it, because they say it's underneath the moon. So, and there's quite a few cycles that the moon goes through where you can actually see, you can see Saturn, you can see Venus, Jupiter, and Mars. You can see those, and I really had to pinpoint. But the thing that caught my eye is when you look up Venus, Venus is the morning star. And what is Venus is also representation of Lucifer, the light barrier, or the light bringer, as well as Christ. And this is where the confusion comes in. The bright morning star, Venus. So if a lot of people are worshiping the bright morning star, they're confusing their energy, or shooting their energy out, thinking they are praying to one thing and using their energy to one thing, but it's really a spirit in disguise. A spirit in disguise. I mean, just look at the word Lucifer. It translates into the light bringer, as well as Christ is called the morning star. There's something broken there. There's something there, something mysterious there. So when I've discovered this, I found this rather interesting, that morning star is related to this female Shedim. So quite an interesting find. So yeah, so that's pretty much it for that one. And then I'll start reading into other stuff. I'm already almost 40 minutes into this. So I don't want this to be too long. But we'll go ahead and read some more and kind of dig deep into some of this other stuff here as well. So Matt here, he's been sticking with me, so awesome. All right. So at least that's what I can see anyways. I had to refresh it a lot because I end up missing comments and stuff, and I just can't see them all the time. Oh, Joel, he's been sticking with me too, it looks like, so awesome. All right. See, we got some comments here too, just a couple of them. Matt says, awesome, thanks. I've been reading the book of Enoch lately. It explains a lot. Yes, it does. And it really talks about Antarctica too. So it's quite fascinating, and a lot of awesome stuff happens in that. And that's how they would use us. Yep. That's how the spirits use us all the time. We're so manipulated. We have no idea to the severity of that manipulation. But we're starting to see that. And if you really look at our physical realm itself, we're really beginning to see the manipulation of the churches, manipulation of the government. There was even, and this kind of off subject, but I was they had a woman protest for women or whatever, or no, woman power. There we go, women power, right? And they ended up talking about on how and how their job as a what was it? Just being basically a prostitute, but being professional in that manner, right? That it just needs to be a real job and not looked at as a prostitution. So yeah. So we're definitely living in some interesting apocalyptic time. And again, and I always have to tell people this all the time, apocalypse translates to the great unveiling. That means anything that is buried within the darkness or hidden, that's secret knowledge, is being revealed to us. And that's all it is. That's what the great apocalypse is the great unveiling. And that's what we're experiencing every day. So yeah. So let me go ahead and read a little bit of this, and then I am going to get out of here. All right. So, and I said to her, under what star dost thou pass? And this talks about the moon and things like that. Under the star of the full moon, for the reason that the moon travels over most things. Then I said to her, what angel is it that frustrates thee? And she said to me, thou is reigning. Man, I hate the way they word this stuff because it's so old-fashioned. And I thought that she mocked me. And basically this female really was getting under the skin of Solomon. He really gets frustrated with this Shedim, this female spirit. But she cried aloud and said, I am to thee, O king, the wisdom of God given to thee, and by the angel Joel. So some angel named Joel. Seraphim named Joel. And that's where I stopped my research right there. So I got to look into who this seraphim or cherubim angel named Joel is, because it doesn't say archangel, it just says Joel. So it's kind of interesting, so I have to look into that. So I commanded her to spin the hip for the ropes he used in the buildings of the house of God, and so on and so forth. So that's pretty much it for that. And then I go into stuff I have not read yet. And I ate once, or he summoned another Shedim to be led unto me. And instantly there approached me the Shedim Asmodeus, bound. And I asked him, who art thou? But he shouted at me, and a glance of anger and rage said, and who art thou? And I said to him, thus punish a star art thou. Oh man, answered thou me. But he with rage said to me, but how shall I answer thee, for thou art a son of man, where I was born an angel's seed by a daughter of man. So basically this Shedim was born from the daughters of man, so that no word of our heavenly kind addressed to the earthborn can be winning. I have to look what that word is. Wherefore also my star is bright in heaven, and men call it some the wane, and some the dragon's child. I want to say this is draconian. I want to say it's draconian, but I'm gonna have to look into it. And let's see. I keep near unto this star. So ask me not many things, for thy kingdom also after a little time is to be disrupted, and thy glory is but for a season. In short, will be thy tyranny over us, and then we shall again have free range over mankind, so as that they shall revere us as if we were gods, not knowing men that they are the names of the angels set over us. And I, Solomon, on hearing this, bound him more carefully, and ordered him to be flogged with thongs of oxhide, and to tell me humbly what was his name and what was his business. And he answered me and said, I am called Asmodeus among mortals, and my business is to plot against the newly wedded, so that they may not know one another. And I sever them utterly by many calamities, and I waste away the beauty of virgin women, and estrange their hearts. So basically, it is the tempter. He works on ways to tempt people, from a business standpoint, right? I'm going to stab you in the back scenario. That's where the newly wedded scenario comes in. Newly wedded, or the virgin women. Again, like I said, virgin means the innocence. I waste away the beauty of the virgins. And it's just creating that dividing state. That's pretty much what the spirit is. And let's go ahead and look that up. I'm going to go ahead and end this video here soon. But let's look up the word Asmodeus, or however you pronounce that. Alright, let's see what it is. Alright, so we go to the lovely Wikipedia. It's not always... Wow, there's even statues and everything with this one. Wow, that's pretty cool. Alright, so it is a Greek word, as well as a Hebrew. Ashmidai. Ashmidai is the Hebrew word for it. That's also something I need to look into too. So, basically, the words I'm reading right now looks like they are of Greek origin. So I'm going to have to look into the Hebrew origin, because I'm going to write all this stuff down, because I'm going to actually do this, a lot more teachings on these as well, because this is where you're going to learn a lot more about the spirits. So Ashmidai is its real name. Let's see, mostly known for its, for the book of Tobit, and blah blah blah. Demon is also mentioned in blah blah blah. Actually, this demon is talked about a lot outside of the Testament of Solomon, so it's quite a well-known Shedim. But it's not helping me in what it is called, though. There we go. The devil on two sticks, or the Shedim on two sticks, which basically, just like I said, the conflicts of one another, creating conflicts, creating war, creating a dividing between, relationships, business partners, things like that. So a lot of us deal with those kind of spirits too on a daily basis. And this is why it's so important to not push people away. Just because somebody doesn't resonate with you, or you don't resonate with them, They tell you a different viewpoint on life. Don't push them away. Listen to their side of the story, learn from them, and see where they're coming from. And then you can also, view how you view it. Talk about how you view it, and try to create a story and just try to learn from each other. That's what we want to do, is learn from each other. And that's what we're all here for, is to learn from each other, not create more dividing. I don't know how many comments I've been writing the past months. Is we got to quit dividing. We got to come together. So definitely this spirit, Asmodis, or Ashmidah in Hebrew, definitely has a huge influence on the world right now. So this spirit definitely has a lot of contracts out there. And it also talks about, let's see, if you do even more reading on this, it also means wrath or divine being. That's kind of interesting. But it's a wrathful demon. Things like that. There's just so many things when you do research. It just opens up so many more doors. And that's why it's so important to do research. And this is where it frustrates me too with people, is that people don't do the work. People don't do the research, and this is why, I make videos. I'm making this one right here, is, you got to do the work and do research. You don't just say, hey, I know everything. You got to do the research and put all the pieces of the puzzle together. You got to put all the pieces of the puzzle together and do the research, and be patient with that research. It's hard for me too, because I really want to know all this, and I want to be able to talk to you guys about this in a really fast manner, but it just doesn't work that way. So that's all a part of doing the work, doing the research, doing your meditation, doing your praying, learning how spirits work, learning on what is causing your life to have an imbalance. There's so many people that have an imbalance in life, and and there's so many very flat answers that people get. So many flat answers of hey, go do meditation, go pray. Well, that's great, but what am I looking for when I'm meditating? What am I looking for when I'm praying? When I get contacted with spirits, what do I do when I get contact with these spirits? Are these spirits an internal thing? Are they an outside source? What are these shadow beings? Are these shadow beings a part of me? Are they outside of me? What are they? So many questions, and people are so very one-dimensional in how they answer things. They force you to go and look into this stuff, but sometimes you need that push. I've been there. Man, I've been there. That's what happened when I was in 2010. Again, I had to do all this research, spent hours and hours and hours and hours meditating, talking with the spirits and learning about spirits, ET beings, and things like that. Spent all that time because I wanted to know. I didn't want to go by human doctrine. I wanted to know personally on what's going on behind this veil. What's going on behind this matrix. What is all this? What is causing humanity to be in the state it is, right? What is causing humanity to be in the state it is? Look into the television. What do you learn about the television when you do research? It is it's a portal. It's a gateway. It is opening up the spirit realm in that sense, because it's sending a frequency. And it also opens up spirits that can go into your body. Why do you think we have all these reality shows on how life should be, or how they want you to be programmed? So people buy into it. They feed off of it, and they allow, they sign contracts with these spirits, and they're not even aware of it. It's deep, man. It's deep, dude. It's real deep. So yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead. And end on that, or I'm gonna keep talking forever. Research is key in this. I will talk about this again next Tuesday, hopefully. Hopefully at an earlier time. And I'll have some more notes written down. So look forward to A.S.B Subject Tuesdays, and basically that's just Adam Starseed Bey. So look forward to Tuesdays being Subject Day. We'll go from there. There's definitely other shows I'd like to do as well, but I think this is definitely a good start. So love yourself. Keep shining bright. Thank you for those who tuned in and messaged. I have to keep refreshing this. I can't always see everybody here. So Matt and Joel's still been sticking around with me. So awesome, guys. So yeah, it's pretty much it. So love yourself. Keep shining bright. Research is key. Meditate, pray. Find out the foundation in your life. And look at these spirits, these Shedim, these yokai, that are more than likely influencing your life. You can't deny that we're not being influenced no matter what we do. So that's where just the power of meditation and shielding comes in as well. Like, again, so many stuff I want to talk about, so much stuff I want to talk about, but just not enough time to talk about it. So stick with subjects, and we'll go from there. So love yourself, keep shining bright. Talk to you guys in a little bit. Alrighty, and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Shalom.